We're not doing commercials. Let's roll on to Homestory Cup. Jeff, how was your first experience across the pond?
First and foremost, huge shout out to the Homestory crew, Take, and the ESL guys that kind of put on the production there. There is something to be said for German efficiency. Holy shit. I felt like I was in a simultaneous Die Hard movie and a Pierce Brosnan James Bond movie at the same time with the way they ran that place, and it was just amazing. They did just such a phenomenal job. Big shout out to the fans there. There's people inside the pub below Homestory Cup drinking for 4 days straight. And then when we went out to the club, there was people there as well. Just really welcoming, awesome fans, and they really wanted to arm wrestle me, so I think I brought arm wrestling to Germany. One guy actually dragged his elbow across like a nail on the table, and he came up to me in a very awkward German and was like, "Look, you did this to me," and there's like blood gushing down his arm, and I was like, I'm really sorry, and it's like, "Oh no, it's fine." And I was like, "Oh, okay." That was a good time. The tournament itself was amazing. There's not. I mean, I just hope the feeling of Homestory Cup was conveyed through the stream, because we had a blast. Like, there was really important matches being played, but everyone was just kind of relaxed and supportive. Like, MC beats JYP and gets up and hugs him. You know, like, they're all friends and stuff like that. It was just a really cool feeling. So to be a part of that, to get to cast on a big couch with the Rotterdam duo and the Bitterdam, the Bitterdam duo, in between matches to be talking with Too Good, Carmack was hanging out, a bunch of other European personalities that I don't get to see as much because I mostly just do MLG events and domestic stuff. It was just an amazing opportunity for me, so I'm just so thankful, amazingly happy with it, and I had a blast. So I don't know, I mean, a lot of people in the chat were referencing my story about the kebab. That was terrifying. I mean,
wait, what? Can you tell that story for?
Well, yeah, just real quickly, like, it's illegal to sell food after like the stores close in Dusseldorf, Germany, apparently, because they can't tax that food.
Yeah.
So the guy was sitting outside his shop, and Sock, myself, Hasuobs, and I think Delphi were there. We were hungry and drunk, so we were like trying to look for food, and this guy's at the store, like, you know, like real classic. He's like, "You guys want fucking kebabs?" Yeah, I got kebabs. How much you got? How much? Yeah, you want two? Sure. Here you go. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. And we like had to scurry off after buying these kebabs. I felt like we just bought a bag of weed or something like that, and it was actually just food, which was funny. And then later, someone in chat told me that actually sometimes they use like questionable meat for that late night kebab. So I'm still alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I had an amazing time. Homestory Cup was amazing, and it was cool hanging out with Steven. Turns out he's the best fucking dealer I've ever seen in my life.
Well, we'll get to Steven's poker play in a second. I want to talk to you a little bit more about Homestory Cup, specifically your win over Thorzane and how important that was to you to take that win over such a player like Thorzane. Yeah,
well, I mean, the match didn't mean anything, and a lot of people were really quick to point that out. So I'm not looking at this match as like, oh my god, I took out Thorzane at the end of a TSL, or he was playing for an MLG berth, that kind of stuff. It wasn't anything like that. But at the end of the day, we're both competitive players. He really wanted to win. I really wanted to win. And I was able to execute strategies and play them fairly well and beat him in a 3-game set. And for me, that actually meant a lot, because Thorzane, whether he's playing pretty hard or he's not, he's a fucking good player. In my opinion, he's one of the best. And it's not like by winning this match I think I'm anywhere near as good as him or better than him, but I do feel like I have the ability to play at that level. So it was just kind of a confidence booster for me. It was a match where I said, okay, I can do it, and I know that I can. And it was nice, too, because Nurchio and Sock had one game where they blew me out of the water, but then they both had one game where a couple of different decisions, and I actually take the win there, too. So overall, it wasn't like a tournament that I'm going to chalk up as one of my favorites in terms of results, because it simply is not. It's still not where I want to be, but it's a nice way to start the year coming off of vacation.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's talk to Steven. How was your poker play over in Germany?
I had a lot of fun. It was pretty nasty, but it was a lot of fun. Getting to play with everybody and hanging out and everything.
What I mean, comparing that tournament for you to, you've been to many MLGs before. What was that tournament like for the first? I mean, was that your first time kind of going overseas?
Yeah, aside from being in Korea before, yeah, it was my first time in Europe.
So, how was the tournament as a whole, and also Europe for you?
I mean, everything Jeff said. I mean, pretty much, I actually commented on this over there. The most fascinating part about that tournament, I don't know how much you could gather from the pictures, was that nobody tripped over a cord. Like, there were cords like all over the place,
Yeah.
for the cameras and stuff. I don't know if you guys have ever worked on like
pretty
production
crazy.
scenes or anything, or like setting like electronics up. It's impossible, like even in your own room, not to trip over like a stray USB cord. But like nobody, there were 32 people running around the place the whole time, and nobody tripped over it. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, in terms of like taking care of the players, like I think Homestory Cup probably has one of the best reps for that. You know, they always get you for your games, and the casting between all the players was awesome, and getting to meet and see everybody was really cool. 2GD is probably the funniest guy I've ever seen in my life. I'm really happy that I got to meet him. I'd never even heard of him before that tournament. And Rotterdam was also really cool in person. And Dennis is really, really nice. He's a really cool dude.
Whether it was the biggest storyline or whether definitively it was the best series at Homestory Cup was JYP against MC. Those games were incredible. Probably, I mean, top 5 games, I think. If you combine it with last year, definitely some of the best series, I think, of all time thus far. But for your newest player, Jeff, how did you think JYP did at Homestory?
Homestory Cup is a really cool tournament for him because he's a really outgoing guy. Like, it was the first time I ever met him, but he acted like we were old friends. He was hugging me all the time. He was willing to sit down and coach me in StarCraft 2, take time out of his day to help me get better, which is that kind of team aspect that we're really proud of on EG. And then he was able to have a fun, good time. Like, people are teasing him. He doesn't speak a lot of English, but he speaks pretty good English, and he was willing to give it a shot, which is such a good trademark for a guy in a place like that. Like, if you dumped me off in a Latin American tournament, I speak some Spanish, but I'd be too much of a pussy to try to even speak any more than that because I'd be ashamed of what I'm doing. But he didn't give a crap, man. He was going for it.
Nice.
And I was really proud of him performance-wise. He kind of lived up to his name. Like, his PVT needs work. I mean, he's the first one to say it, too. So he was doing a lot of 6 gates in the PVTs, but his PvP and PvZ is pretty damn gorgeous, and I was really excited to watch it. And that final game against MC was a heartbreaker.
Yeah. Well, I remember you casting that game, and the one where it was like one building versus one. I think it was in a simulator versus a pylon or something. You actually had a heart attack live on air. I
would have.
When he moves out, and it just goes crazy, and then he comes back, and then MC would move out, and then he would move out again right next to us. You were freaking out on stream. Go check that series out if you guys haven't seen it before.
I mean, at first, what ended up happening was he was trying to bait MC into a really aggressive blink, and then he was going to crush the army and potentially win the game. But the first couple of times he was apparently wandering away from his final building, I was freaking out because I was thinking maybe this guy doesn't know what's going on. You know, like I had to watch Huck do that against Liquid Hero at MLG. That was a close second. Like Huck has the game at least tied, maybe won with a unit advantage, and he actually threw it away. And it was like I was sitting in my chair going, "No!" It was so hard to watch.
Yeah. Sean, we've kind of haven't heard from you that much about Homestory Cup. What was your take on it?
Oh, this is one of those moments where I'm obligated to come up with something new to say.
Well, let's go to Tyler first and come back to you. He's just going to copy whatever you say, man.
I'm ready.
Right.
I think that it satisfies, like...
paper.
Can I...
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It satisfies this really nice need to hear how top players banter about the games. It's almost like a hyper ultra casual environment where sometimes there's tons of details that are being like left on the table, but you'll hear them debate a really ultra specific thing like what that third stalker should be doing in depth, and that's really cool to see. I know that it would be definitely like it would be hard for a lot of tournaments to make that like the consistent norm, because obviously there's so many new players who want the chance to have, you know, the usual sort of play-by-play and etc. But I think that the fact that they bring it on really gets you an interesting lens into the mind of so many pros. I particularly really liked watching that PvP series between like MC and JYP and hearing like what Hasselhoff has to say about the matchup. Because I mean, generally he's such an unbelievably passive player in PvP, especially. To hear him give like really nice comments from both sides, you're like, oh, that's really cool, because it's so easy to just sort of like, oh yeah, I see him play passively and build a lot of Colossus in a lot of game. I guess that he just thinks about building Colossus, and you're just like, no, there's actually this brilliant set of justifications underneath all of it.
Right. All right. Wrapping back to kind of Homestory Cup, one last second. Most fun tournament to watch, I think, just in general. It's been talked about by Scoots. Pretty much everyone that watched said it was an incredible tournament to watch. If you didn't check out the VODs, definitely go check them out. I would say start with the JYP MC series, because that was probably the best one. Also, the Destiny, Jeff, and Too Good cast was really fun. And then the MC, Rice, and Marine King cast, really fun. Go check those out. I think they're on IEM's website.